A life lesson. The atmosphere was filled with the echoes of crowds cheering and chanting. The sounds of drums and trumpets filled the air with the tempo rising at the sound of the uproar of engines rising to life, ready to accelerate. The grandstands were buzzing with spectators thrilled with burning excitement. At the start line, the drivers were settled in their car seats with colorful racing suits, helmets on, and hands grasping the steering wheel. Hearts beating, perspiration dripping, the drivers eagerly anticipating to pounce at the start. The only motive and focus of every speed car driver's goal is to win. The vividly colored cars gleamed under the neon lights that encircled the city. At the wave of the flag, every car accelerated, speeding across the highway with all force and power. Amongst the drivers situated in a red car was a young lad by the name of Nicola. Echoing in the mind of Nicola as he sped furiously were his father's words. "Son, please don't race anymore. Don't disregard my warning." Trying to keep his mind focused on the race, brushing aside his father's words, he steadily proceeded ahead, navigating precisely past every other driver, making a stunning victory. All the glory and fame was his. The ecstasy was unutterable as he paved his way to receive the prize for his victory. Nicola jubilantly entered his house with shouts of triumph. Although it was a moment to rejoice, his parents' faces turned pale, saddened by their child's disobedient behavior. Nicola was a city boy all his life. His culture of living and social upbringing was contrary to that of a disciplined kid. He was governed by impulses and passion. His parents dearly loved him as he was their only child, and they did their best in every possible way to give him a good upbringing. Yet the influences of the friends whom he associated with drifted him away, marring his view of reality. As the final race was commencing soon, his parents pleaded with him, knowing the risk he was taking. Again and again, his father pleaded with him to heed his saying, knowing his son gets into a fit from time to time that could risk his life. While the doctors recommended keen attention to his fatal illness, he always ignored the topic and answered that he could help someone too with the money he earned, while the actual underlying truth that he mainly prioritized was self-gratification. The final day soon approached, and despite the pleadings and warnings of his parents, who begged him to stay away, he raised a deafening ear, ignoring their plea, and rushed off with his friends. Nothing could ever stop Nicola from his passion for adventure and the joy of the self-aggrandizement he received. The night seemed darker than usual as he strapped himself to the cockpit, his face hidden behind the black-tinted visor, ready to leave his opponents in the dust. His polished car poised under the illumination of the lights that flooded. The crowd's shouts crescendoed into a thunderous cheer, and the people were waving flags and banners frantically. The pit crew double-checked every single detail and made their final rounds, signaling that everything was fine. Standing at the edge of the track, the race marshal lifted the checkered flag. Once again, his father's warning echoed through his ears, but in vain like a distant refrain. His heart throbbed rapidly like wildfire as the flag came down and the red lights suddenly turned green. He tore through the streets, his engine reverberating in the night. He was short-sighted by the allure of speed, drowning out his father's voice of reason. Everything was perfect. He was in control of the game. He sped past all his opponents, but alas, as he was in the final lap, disaster struck as Nicola was taking a sharp bend. He got into a severe fit and lost control of his car, crashing at the edge of the bend and veering off the road. After a few seconds, his car was spinning in midair, and then suddenly hurtled below the cliff into darkness. As he lay there gasping for breath, bruised and battered amidst the wreckage of his car, his father's words rang in his head, and the agony of his disobedience seemed to exceed the pain he felt from his injuries. The ambulance sped him to the hospital, and as he lay on the bed surrounded by machines and tubes, he was on the brink of death. His parents arrived, and his father had to give him blood and a kidney to save his life. At that moment, as he lay there, he vowed to never take his father's words for granted again, realizing the cost of disobedience and its results. In life, we too may be sacrificing our time and energy, our resources, or various other things to do good deeds, to get approval from people or God, yet at the cost of disobedience, which is not accepted by God. In the Bible, 1 Samuel 15:22 states, "To obey is better than sacrifice." Let us consider and see if we are obedient to God doing His will or seeking our gratification. Are we obedient to our elders or parents? Ephesians 6:1-3 states, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you and that you may have a long life on earth." Humble obedience is the most noble virtue that everyone should possess. It is the only thing that truly pleases God. Let us strive to genuinely humbly submit ourselves to God in obedience, doing good according to His will, in the way that pleases Him best,